Welcome to the PreSnap Podcast presented by LineStar. Alongside Tyler Wiemann, I'm Shannon Sommerville. And on today's video, our first series, before you dive into those best ball drafts, we've got you covered with a nice overview of the landscape with a look at some people that have changed teams and also some post-injury news. Basically, just a look at the overall NFL landscape, where players are and where we can draft them in Best Ball. By the way, Underdog Ball Mania is out now. Following that NFL draft, we are ready for some Best Ball drafting. If you haven't done so already, go check it out at Underdog Fantasy. And when you first download Underdog Fantasy, or if you haven't yet and you're a new user, use the promo code LineStar. You'll get up to $1,000 of bonus money. Plus, you can also get 1 free month of the LineStar app, which is a great app that actually has a tool just for Best Ball. We will be releasing our rankings coming soon, so make sure to check that out. Also, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below before we dive into all of our player updates. We're going to start off with some injury updates and a look at where players are being drafted, along with some players that have changed teams and how that really affects them going into the draft. Tyler, I think it's an important just overall view of things, where players are, before you start your best ball draft. What do you hope to convey with this?
Kind of like a 2025 roster 101 here.
Yes,
you know?
I like it. All right, so let's get to it then. Let's start things off with 49ers wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. ADP 88.3, wide receiver 46 on those best ball drafts. Suffered a season-ending injury October 20th against the Chiefs. He actually tore his ACL and MCL. 49ers anticipate his return around middle of 2025. The 49ers, though, got rid of one of their top wide receivers in Deebo Samuel, who's now with the Washington Commanders. So how do you evaluate his best ball status for the 2025 season, knowing that you're really only getting a half season out of him?
You are really only getting a half season out of him, but it is the most important part of the season. It's down the home stretch. It's for the playoffs. And when he's there, he's going to be the unquestioned number one. And, you know, you're getting a guy that is going to be a weekly contributor all the way down at like 90 ADP. Sometimes he'll slip a little lower. I don't mind the value of him right now. You know, Deebo's gone, so it's his show as far as the wide receiver core.
All right, let's keep it with the 49ers and their running back, who was the offensive player of the year back in 2023, but injuries last year derailed his best ball scoring chances for us. CMC had Achilles tendonitis, sidelined him for the first 8 games of the season, and then he suffered a PCL injury in week 13 that ultimately ended his season. He is expected to participate in at least some off-season work, and Shannon says, quote, Christian is healthy and doing great. Now, what do you make of CMC's draft spot right now? He's RB5 off the boards. This was last year's number 1 overall pick. What do you think?
Oh, man, this one is a tough one. So when he did come back last year, he's 15 to 20 touches. You know, they were a little careful with his touches.
Right.
So is that going to be what they do this year? Is he going to be playing in 15 to 20 touches, keeping a little limited? With that, I understand where he's going around 12-ish. And if he's doing that, he's probably being a little overdrafted. But we know the ceiling for him. We know what he can do. And so, you know, that's kind of the yin and yang with this spot. It's very interesting. They have a very capable backup in Isaac Guerendo. And if CMC is limited at all, it's expected that Guerendo would pick up a ton of the workload as well as their new rookie running back.
Yeah, exactly. They picked up Oregon running back Jordan James in the draft. But either way, CMC, so much value 2 seasons ago, won a lot of people their leagues. So I can see the allure of the pick. When he's healthy, he's obviously one of the best running backs in the league. Next up, let's go to the Kansas City Chiefs, though, and one of their best wide receivers, Rashee Rice, ADP 39.2 in best ball right now. Even though he suffered a knee injury in week 4 against the Chargers, torn LCL, required surgery. He missed the entire 2024 season after that. Tyler, I don't know much about running around cones and what that means for the prognosis of a wide receiver, but he's running around cones in off-season workouts, and he looks pretty good. Keep in mind, this was a guy who caught 79 passes for 938 yards and 7 touchdowns the season prior, and the Chiefs definitely could have used him, especially in that Super Bowl against the Eagles. What do you make of where he's being drafted in best ball?
I think he's clearly the top, passing or receiving option for Patrick Mahomes. We know Kelsey's declined big time. Kelsey's going way late this year. Last year he kept kind of solid ADP, but now he's in like the hundreds. And I think Rashee Rice is clearly a top option on that offense and the go-to for Mahomes. So I totally understand where he's being drafted. Wide receiver 21, you're talking about a guy that realistically could end up being a top 12 wide receiver.
All right, next up, let's go to the Panthers and running back Chuba Hubbard, who had quite the breakout campaign. ADP 54 now. Grade 2 calf strain, though, in late December after a remarkable season that saw him put up 1,100 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns. He is expected to make a full recovery. Worth noting, the Panthers drafted Trevor Etienne out of Georgia in the 4th round. They also had a free agent signing in Rico Dowdle. How do you see Hubbard's prognosis for best ball?
Yeah, and they also have Jonathan Brooks, who they drafted last season.
Right, exactly.
In second round, was it?
Mm-hmm. Pretty high.
Yeah, and so they have a ton of running backs here, and it's just crazy what they've done with the running back room over the last couple of years. Paid Miles Sanders, dropped him, paid Chuba, drafted Brooks, drafted Etienne. But all in all, I mean, Chuba is clearly their top running back. Had a great year, and I would say this offense as a whole has taken a step forward. They drafted Teta McMillan. I think Bryce Young stepped up a little bit at the end of the year. Really still got to wait and see what happens there. But Chuba, if he's coming back and fully healthy, I like his ADP, and I would say he's probably a little low.
And it looks like the Panthers are just looking to run the ball, if you ask me, just by judging the moves that they're making. Lastly, let's go to Tyreek Hill. ADP 25.3, wide receiver 13 off the board. Suffered a wrist injury last year. He actually underwent surgery eventually on a torn ligament. Kind of a disappointing 2024 season for the Cheetah. Should resume catching footballs around the start of training camp, but the thing for me, Tyler, is Tyreek Hill is an absolute beast. It's kind of a high risk, high reward type of pick. Also, his status always seems to be tied to the health of his quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely need a healthy Tua. There's more risk with Tyreek due to Tua's concussion situation. I mean, it's very realistic to say if Tua gets another, could be a career ender for him. And they didn't really work on their backup quarterback. So there's absolutely risk. We know Hill has a giant ceiling, but it was pretty disappointing. He played through the injury, but how much did that really hamper him too? I mean, it's wrist. He still could get open, still could run, and wasn't doing much. So I'm a little worried about him, but I think you also have to take a little bit of him where he's going.
All right. So those are the injuries. Let's get to some player movement throughout the league. We're going to start things off with former Seattle Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf finding himself a new home in Pittsburgh. Wide receiver 29 off the board. Last year finished wide receiver 33. A lot of question marks around this Pittsburgh Steelers offense, specifically at the quarterback position. So how does that impact your evaluation of Metcalf as a best ball wide receiver?
All right. So first of all, this Pittsburgh offense is always one that's going to be a little lower volume passing wise. That's just how they've been for years now. So I think we have to expect that no matter if it is Aaron Rodgers or so gross to say Mason Rudolph, that literally could be their starting quarterback. Maybe they know something that we don't, that Aaron Rodgers is coming there, but it's definitely a little tricky. If it's Mason Rudolph, I mean, how much do I really want of Metcalf, and how much do I really trust that offense to throw the ball?
Yeah, especially, George Pickens there as well. Going to be
Mhm.
farting. Certainly, he's going to be making a case for himself to get more targets there. And speaking of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they got rid of their quarterback, Justin Fields, and the Jets acquired him. So how do you evaluate his new landing spot? Currently, he's being drafted QB 13, but now he's QB1 over there. So this could be an opportunity for Fields. And judging by the offseason workout videos that we're seeing, he's looking pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks like his footwork is much improved. He's throwing the ball very well. If the footwork's improved, he might be a little bit better passer than what we've seen prior, but there's always giant rushing upside offense. However, I would have to say that I'm sorry, but your Jets are a little bit of a dumpster fire.
I'm not going to argue with that one, Tyler. I mean, as a Jets fan, I know all too well the pain that comes with that fandom. Speaking of which, one of our former quarterbacks, Geno Smith, is the next guy we're going to be talking about because he is finding himself a new home after being in Seattle. He's now with the Las Vegas Raiders, certainly an upgrade for that Raiders offense. And he'll have some weapons at his disposal. Tyler, what do you make of Smith and his new landing spot and how it impacts his fantasy output?
I mean, we have QB 26. That's crazy to me. I would say that's some great value there. Finished much higher last year. Bowers, Jacoby Myers, Genty's in there. So they have a run game that can support him. I think it's an interesting spot.
Yeah, that's for sure. Definitely with the Raiders and their picks, I don't know. Ashton Genty could get him going. I love the spot here for Geno Smith. Next up, let's go to Sam Darnold, who is now taking Geno Smith's spot in Seattle. ADP 164, QB 28 off the board. Tyler, I'm a little apprehensive about this pick here and Darnold's overall prognosis for fantasy football, given that he doesn't have Justin Jefferson anymore like he did with the Vikings. What do you make of it?
Yeah, and DK is gone. I mean, the weapons are a little questionable. They have JSN, who I like a lot, and I think he's going like 25th overall ADP wise. I like JSN, but then they got Cooper Kupp. Is Cooper Kupp washed? Like that's a question mark. Some of the metrics last year were showing that maybe he has lost a step. He wasn't getting open like he was in years prior. Yep. So that's kind of wait to be seen there. But that is the worry is Darnold just doesn't have the weapons that he did last year.
And speaking of Cooper Kupp, let's get a little bit more into it here. We're, right now, wide receiver 48 off the board. But this is a guy who I know in the playoffs didn't produce for a lot of fantasy owners, and he seemed to, like you mentioned, fall off a cliff a little bit. Is he worth drafting in best ball this year?
I mean, if you're gonna need another stack, you're gonna have a hard time fitting a last stack together. Maybe it is worth taking a little Cooper Kupp and Sam Darnold late. Like, we know there's upside there at least, but I am very worried about Kupp. The metrics last year for him getting open just really dropped off a cliff compared to what we saw earlier in his career. So I'm worried about him.
That's for sure. But hey, maybe back in his home state, he'll produce. That's kind of my best prognosis, but I'm still a little bit salty about those fantasy playoffs, if you couldn't tell. But next up, let's go to the Chargers and their new running back, Najee Harris, ADP 79.2, RB 25 off the board. What do you think? Chargers offense could be interesting here. What do you think?
I mean, I'm in the never Najee camp. I'm probably not going to pick him whatsoever. I've had enough of him those Pittsburgh years. He's just a plodding runner. Now, this offense is a great one for running backs, but they drafted a complete beast in Hampton.
Yeah.
They also did a restricted free agent tenure on J.K. Dobbins. So if nobody's going to pay him, $3-something million and give Chargers some draft credit, then he's going to come back to the Chargers. So a lot of mouths to feed, and I just don't really like his profile.
Yeah, especially in the second half of the season when you got to think that's the time they start reverting to Amari and Hampton.
It's going to be Hampton
a lot more. I'm sure he'll overtake that spot. Was such a beast in college. Next up, let's go to the Rams and Davante Adams, ADP 34.9, wide receiver 18. What do we think here? I like this connection here with Stafford and Adams potentially. What about you?
I mean, it feels like McVay gets it together every other year, right? Like they win a Super Bowl, then they're terrible. Then they make some strides again, then they're terrible. Is this another, up week or up year, I should say? And maybe some McVay magic happens. There's Kupp gone. We know Stafford's a good quarterback. I'm a little interested in him.
All right. And let's go to the Washington Commanders, Deebo Samuel, ADP 65.8, wide receiver 37, coming from the 49ers where he was used in a lot of different ways. How do you see him fitting into this new system in Washington?
I mean, we got Terry McLaurin on the other side, so there's still another weapon. I would assume they're going to use him in a similar way that San Francisco would have, is because that's really what he does. He's not a great downfield wide receiver. So, but there's the worry. He looked a little slow last year. He has a new QB, a new system. There's a lot of things up in the air with Deebo. I'm a little worried, but the upside's there, so I'm fine taking a little bit.
All right, let's go to Christian Kirk now with the Houston Texans. Wide receiver 52 off the board. How do you see him fitting in with the Houston Texans and CJ Stroud back there slinging him the rock?
There's definitely lots of mouths to feed. There's Nico Collins, Joe Mixon, Jaden Higgins. The tight ends are there. And the other thing is, can Stroud bounce back? I mean, he had a down year last year. He had a great rookie year. We're still kind of a wait and see what we really have with CJ Stroud, but I think there's absolutely reasons to want some Christian Kirk at least. I think ADP 105 or 106 is pretty fair.
And at the later end of your best ball draft, we've got Mike Williams, was with the Jets last season, struggled a bit there, and then went to Pittsburgh. But now he's back with the Los Angeles Chargers where he started things off. I'm always a little weary of Williams and his spot, but going ADP 213, what's your opinion of Williams and where he's going in best ball?
He's back with Herbert. So that's where he's seen his success. He's also another year removed from his knee issues. It really looked like last year he couldn't really cut at all. So maybe,
that's a good point.
Another year removed. He has a little bit mobility. Having him back and the Chargers drafting Trey Harris and then Quentin Johnston is there. It's not like he has a ton of competition for those outside wide receiver reps. So there's a path. It's just, has he lost a step? Is he washed? Or was it just an injury situation still working back? If he can come back healthy, I mean, you're getting an absolute steal at that spot.
And lastly, let's talk about a tight end, Evan Engram, now with the Denver Broncos, ADP 114.9, tight end 10 off the board. This is an interesting spot. Tyler, talk to me about Engram's best ball prognosis for the 2025 season.
I mean, I really like the landing spot. It's good offense, young, good quarterback. The other thing is that all their wide receivers can really stretch the field. He is going to have a lot of room in the middle to work, which that's where he does, his damage. They have Sutton, Franklin, Mims, all are good deep threats. And Evan Engram can just eat up everything down below with not a ton of competition.
Well, yeah, I do love the landing spot for Engram there. Definitely someone I will be eyeing in those best ball drafts. By the way, if you don't have Underdog yet, download it. Use that promo code LineStar so you can get the nice deposit match plus 1 free month of the LineStar app. Go hit those Best Ball Mania drafts. We'll be drafting here on our LineStar YouTube channel as well, so make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. And then make sure to like this video and comment below. Let us know who you're targeting in best ball drafts this season. Let's help each other out. Let's go just dominate those drafts. I'm excited to start drafting here soon. So good luck to you in all your best ball drafts. We'll see you guys next time.